Hey, Ryan. Yeah, welcome everyone. We'll be kicking it off in a few minutes, but in the meantime, would love to hear where you're from, maybe what you're interested in real estate in the comments. Awesome. Yeah, Virginia, San Diego, Colorado Springs. I'm in Tampa for those that don't know. And Tyler, where are you coming from?
Calling in from San Francisco, but I'll actually be back in Los Angeles about a week from now. So
Awesome. So we have some other Cali folks. Also Tampa, Georgia, New York City. So a little bit of both East Coast, West Coast here.
Cancun, I'm jealous.
New York City. I was actually in the New York, New Jersey area this weekend and beautiful weather, like gorgeous. The leaves are starting to change. Perfect. Then I come back to Florida and it's going to be a hurricane in like 2 days. It's probably like one of the few times that the reverse, the weather would have just been better staying up there. You see Omaha, Connecticut. Awesome. LA. All right, well, we can kick it off. So I'm going to share my screen here and super excited to have everyone here. Our topic for today is going to be AI for real estate and specifically how GPTs can help with your journey. It's hosted by Coffee Closers as well as Voker AI. And our goal for today is help you to understand, even if you're brand new to AI and GPTs, how you can leverage it for your real estate journey. So this session is going to be recorded. In the case that you want to take a lot of notes, don't worry, you could do so afterwards and feel free to leave questions in the chat and we'll try to get to them during as well as at the end. So for your speakers, it's myself, Liam, and Tyler. And we'll be covering a few different topics, going to live demonstrations as well of how to leverage these GPTs in your real estate journey. And one of my favorites, which is which GPTs can be really useful based on your task. So first, a little bit about myself. For those that don't know me, my name is Ariel, and I started off my career as a data scientist. Worked for a handful of companies solving problems with AI and machine learning models. But although the pay was good, I always realized that there was some sort of bottleneck. And the bottleneck was that I only made money when I worked. So essentially trading time for money. And I was losing out on time with family and friends, with being able to do my own projects as well. And I discovered the FIRE movement, where you can actually be able to retire early by having your money work for you and get time back via financial freedom. So, like most people did or do, I tried to look into how I can achieve financial freedom and how do I actually try to get passive income streams. So, I fell upon the path of maybe starting an Amazon fulfillment business, maybe doing option stock trading, which isn't actually that passive, or doing real estate. And the one that stuck the most was real estate. It was the clear winner by far. It was the only investment that I could use leverage and have significant returns with low money down to start. So, given my background, I used a data-driven approach to be able to buy my first property in an up-and-coming area in New Jersey. And with several years, the property did appreciate by $150,000. And even though at this time, a lot of the market was moving up, my investment was 10% above the state average for appreciation. I then used this money as a HELOC to be able to extract some of this equity and put it towards future deals. So essentially turning a $20K investment into a home run deal that helped to finance future properties. And this is where I really saw the significant advantage of getting into real estate for investing. But it's not 2019. Real estate is harder than it was when I first started. There is way more information out there on what strategies to implement, which could be really confusing if you're, say, working full time and you feel like you're doing endless research of where to start. There's also increased competition. It's not just other investors, it's also institutional investors like BlackRock. And speed is more important than ever before. With AI and data advancing throughout the years, if you don't actually have this in your instrument or your tool belt, you can easily be the one that's behind on finding deals. So we're going to go through how we can actually leverage AI and GPTs in your real estate journey. So starting with goal setting. There's essentially 5 steps to goal setting. Determining how much capital you have to invest, whether you are investing for cash flow or appreciation, how you plan to fund or finance this investment, how you plan to make money on it, which is what we all care about, and what markets you plan to invest in. Like if you're only looking at landlord-friendly states, for example. So the research usually goes, you go on YouTube videos, podcasts, maybe you read some blogs. But this takes time. And remember, it's not 2019. We don't have time on our side. Speed is everything. And it could also be kind of boring to do this stuff. We want to start analyzing the properties, right? So how do we actually use GPTs to take us from this research that goes from days to weeks to months to just seconds? So here I'm going to just show a really quick example of what normally someone may do when they're first using a GPT. So here I'm on ChatGPT. I'm on a free version. And just to save time, because we're going to go into some really exciting stuff that will be live prompting, I did this ahead of time. So here I asked, as a newbie investor, help me with my goal for real estate, because ultimately I want to see if I can cut time to set my goals using a GPT than endless searching. So here it starts to give me some sort of guideline. Define my long-term vision. What am I looking for? How long do I want to achieve it? Make it measurable, and some steps on how to do some research. But the issue here is that it's missing some clear things when it comes to real estate, like cash flow versus appreciation, as well, like having me define what my hold strategy will be. Will it be an Airbnb, a long-term rental? These are all things you should know when you're first starting before you start diving into properties. So I'm a little bit hesitant on how it responded here. So how do we do better? So when it comes to ChatGPT, the way you can use it for its best purpose is by thinking as if you hired an intern, right? If you hire an intern, you're not just going to give them one sentence and say, okay, hopefully you can figure this out. You're going to hire them to do this task, tell them what their role is, and give them expectations of that output. So when it comes to using ChatGPT to the fullest, you also want to give it a similar type of setting. So in this example, again, framing it back, we're looking to see if we can cut down our time of being able to set our goals for real estate as beginners by leveraging GPTs. And instead of just asking that one sentence I did, I can instead structure this in a smarter way by telling it, act as a real estate investor or advisor. You're going to be tasked with helping beginner investors. I need this to be a step-by-step guide because remember, I'm a newbie, or whoever is using it is a newbie, and needs practicality when trying to understand how to set their goals. So I already prompted GPT here and basically took that, what I just showed you, copied it, pasted it. and it gives me a very different response. So now it talks about setting my investment strategy of active versus passive, cash flow versus appreciation. I did not train it to do this. All I've done is just given it a role that better fits what my expectations are. As well, it goes into, turnkey properties, like what condition of a type of properties are you looking for your goals, which is something I agree with as well. And even down to initially, you should know what markets and how to define what cities you want to be looking at. So that's just a pretty simple example of how you could leverage GPTs and understand that they need a little more context than just these one-word sentences. So we understand at this stage that we can create these templates to provide clear directions. But what if we want to share this out? Like maybe I'm a real estate agent and I want to share this out to potential clients. So when I meet with them, I'm not wasting my time of asking them all these questions. They could just use the GPT to define their goals and I get sent that right away. Can we have a deeper level of expertise here? How do we actually train GPTs on our deeper knowledge? So documents, spreadsheets, as well as APIs. We can do this via custom GPTs. Custom GPTs allows us to actually provide an in-depth knowledge on a topic and even streamline our workflows. So I'm going to turn it over now to Tyler from Voker AI to go over an example of how to use custom GPTs that are trained on specific prompts and data. And it's going to cover the first 3 steps of the real estate investment journey.
Awesome. Thanks, Ariel. Hey, everyone. I'm Tyler from Voker. I'm a co-founder here at Voker. And similar to Ariel, I came from a background in data science as well. I actually followed a kind of similar journey to Ariel in my sort of real estate investing and used data a few years ago to purchase a property in Santa Barbara where I was living that I had then converted into a cash flowing property that I'm renting out. But back then I had to do a lot of manual work, creating spreadsheets and doing custom analysis. And with the advances in AI, there's a lot more that you can do much quicker now. So we're really excited to show you all a really specific example of how we can use Voker, the platform that we've built, to power a specific investment strategy advisor. So I'm going to share my screen. And similar to the funnel that you just saw Ariel sharing, we've got 3 steps to this process. So first, you'll define your investment strategy by talking to an AI advisor. Then you'll do market research. Then you'll do property search specifically in those areas, and then move on to a platform like Clozers to actually find the deals that you really want to close. So if we start out here on the first section, we can see that we have an AI advisor here helping you create your investment strategy. And so it's first asked us, hey, what kind of capital do you have available? How much are you planning to invest? It's hard to decide that sometimes, right? And so we can tell it, I'm not sure how much to invest. And the AI will respond to help you break it down. So the first question is just how much cash do you have saved? And then they give you a general guideline of, if you're comfortable with it, invest up to 85% of your savings for real estate investment. And so I'll respond saying, I currently have 100,000 saved and I'm okay with investing 85%. When we do that, the AI will help tune our specific investment strategy, and it's logged this information that we've given it. Now it's going to move on to the next step. Do you want to find a cash flowing property, or do you want to go through the appreciation route? And it can give you some follow-up questions like, what are your long-term financial goals? Are you looking for an early retirement, or are you looking to create passive income stream? And so we can talk to the AI and use it as an advisor to figure that out. So I can add in another question, which is, hey, if I'm looking to purchase properties, my apologies. Here I'm going to say, I want to make passive income. This is actually specific to my my own personal experience, like I mentioned with the condo that I had purchased. And so with that, it's going to recommend, I'll let it talk back to us. It's going to recommend that we're going to go with a cash flow driven strategy because we want passive income. And now, because we're looking for a more hands-off approach, it gives us a couple recommendations. In terms of how you want to invest, you might be looking at a long-term rental, medium-term rental, house hacking, or lease option. And we can actually ask a follow-up like, what is house hacking? Because I might not be familiar with that. Here, it'll respond saying, house hacking is a strategy where you purchase a multifamily property like a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, and you live in one unit and rent it out, rent the others out. This helps you create cash, and it also helps you reduce the burden of how much you're paying monthly because you're actually living in the property. And so if I feel good about that, I can say, house hacking sounds like a good strategy for me. We'll also need to tell it what is our exit strategy. So are we looking to hold on to the property for a long time, etc. I think that I've kind of gone in the wrong order here, so I've confused the AI a little bit. My apologies, but I'm going to say we're looking to do a house hack, and let's see if it can fix my poor demo. So now that we have the house hack strategy, we can tell it in terms of financing, what options do I have? So it gives us some, different options here. You can go with a conventional mortgage, you can go with an FHA loan, seller financing, and it'll explain to you what the differences are here. And so in this case, let's say that we are happy with the FHA loan. So I'll say, let's do FHA loan. And now it's finally going to ask me, let's finalize your location strategy. Do you want to invest close to home or out of state? And in this case, because I'm doing a house hack, I probably want to stay in the location that I'm currently in, and I want to find a property near me that I can move into. So I'll say, let's invest close to home. And when we do that, the AI will give us a summary of our overall investment strategy. So we're going to go for a cash flow driven strategy aiming for passive income. We're going to do a house hack. We're going to hold long term, and then we're going to use an FHA loan, investing close to home. And so again, even with my not perfect demo here, you can see that you can take a nonlinear path through the conversation with the advisor, ask follow-up questions and things like that about things you might not be familiar with. We could ask for more details about FHA loans or about seller financing, and it can help define that strategy. So that's the first step in that funnel that Ariel shared. And it's really important to start there because if you don't know what your strategy is, you're going to be searching all over the place. The next thing we might want to do is do some market research. So if you come to the next step in our Prop AI tool, you can see that you can research information on a certain city. And so in this case, I'm going to go with Tampa, Florida. And it looks like I might be, once again, running into a live demo issue. Here we go. Tampa, Florida, a little refresh fixed it for us. We can run the analysis, and you can see that the AI was able to grab information about this city. You can see the population, the median sale price of properties in the area, the median days on market, and these different pieces of information help you, learn more about the area, especially if you're investing out of state and you're not familiar with the location. Our AI tool also gives you a quick overview of the location, kind of what's going on in terms of population growth, in terms of employers, and you can really drill into specifics if you go down to these sections. So you can see it lists some top neighborhoods in the area, along with some summaries, some key features of those locations, which especially in a house hack, if I'm looking for a place that I want to live, it could be really useful to know extra information about these neighborhoods. I won't spend too much time on this, but there's also different categories you can look into, like what are the climate risks in this area? Ariel just mentioned that there's hurricanes, and so flooding and other things are probably, a danger in that location. We can also see top employers in the area, which tells you, how many tenants are there in the area that are going to be able to afford living in my property. Top attractions, Busch Gardens, which I'm a big fan of personally, and then new developments. So this is really interesting to see how is the property going to appreciate. It looks like there's a lot of new development going on here, and you can click through these links to learn more about never even visited, and start to narrow down that second step of that funnel. Now getting into the last step, now that we know we're interested in Tampa, we can search for Tampa, Florida again, and we can set a max home price. Let's just say that we're going to put $1 million as our option. Make sure I did the right number, which I did. And now we can run an analysis. And what this does is it pulls live listing data. The AI goes out and finds live listing data in this area with our max home price. It does some data analysis that I mentioned and Ariel's mentioned before that we used to have to do manually ourselves as data scientists. Now AI in Tampa that could be interesting for us. So it started out explaining that in this zip code of 33617, there are single family residential homes, 4,000, and tells you about the square footage, the number of beds and baths, and things like that. And so you can explore these different neighborhoods and create what's called a buy box that you could then bring to Coffee Closers to find these deals and to actually sign and find your first property. I'll turn it back to the Coffee Closers team. Actually, I'll just mention one more thing. If you're interested in trying out the Prop AI Investment Advisor to do your first few steps, we'll send a link after the call, but you can go to voker.ai/prop AI-advisor. We'll send a link after and try it out today. Thanks for the time. I'll pass it back to Liam.
Awesome. I'll take it one step before giving it to Liam, but just want to summarize up. Thank you so much, Tyler, for that demonstration. And some of you may be wondering, well, how did you get from just those little prompts that you had all the way to that? Well, I've gotten a lot of questions over the last 4 years, having the YouTube channel, talking to a lot of investors. And there's many documents that I've kind of streamed together for different workflows of like, how do you actually start to set up a buy box? How do you understand a market? So by really going past just that little first blurb of text that you saw for the prompt engineering and having multiple documents, multiple resources to have the LLM be trained on is how we're able to go from a basic question to get a more intricate question solved with a lot more expertise. So with that, we're going to go into another demonstration. And this one will be how Coffee Closers and, which none of you have seen before, the creative GPT plays a hand into that latter half of the real estate investment journey for property screening, as well as looking at making offers. So at this stage, I will turn it over to Liam.
All right, thank you so much, Ariel and Tyler. So I will just go ahead and share my screen here. Can everyone see that? Brilliant. Okay, so the question you may be asking at this stage, once you've done all of your research into different cities and developments that are going on, how do I get into the nitty-gritty? How do I find specific properties which may actually work for me? How do I find good neighborhoods? How do I pick my acquisition strategy and indeed my exit strategy? That is where Coffee Closers can help you. And that is what it is fundamentally built to do. It is meant to basically be Zillow, but specifically for real estate investors, showing you the properties, but with all of the analyses you need. So what I'm doing right now is I'm using our creative finance tool. So what we're doing is we're pulling all of the properties currently listed on the market, both on the MLS and also as for sale by owners. And what we're doing is we're doing a number of things. First of all, we're using a series of algorithms to determine which properties might be most likely to either be good fits, either for seller financing or for subject to. We do that based on a number of things, but very briefly, it's based on how long it's been on the market, how many price cuts it's had, whether it's a for sale by owner or not, has it just been inherited, is the owner an absentee owner, what's the interest rate on the loan if it's a sub-2 deal, if it's below 5%, we generally see that as good. So we're looking at what leads could be best for creative. Then we're also looking at neighborhoods. So we use a lot of data here to try and determine what are the A, B, C, and D neighborhoods within the particular area in question that you might be looking at. And then, of course, we look at the condition of the property. So you'll see some properties are marked as fixer-uppers, and you can either look at those or filter those out directly. We determine that by reading the property description which the seller or the seller's agent has written, looking for keywords like needs TLC, this property is in bad condition. From there, we can start to determine condition. And then also, most importantly, arguably, is the cash-on-cash return, which you can see right here. If I invest in this property, what is it going to give me in yearly cash flow? So I've just gone ahead and clicked into a property here, which I also think is a great example for a good seller finance option, because it's been on the market for 90 days and it's just had a price cut actually. So I'm sure you can imagine the seller's getting a little bit frustrated. You know, why can't I sell this property? And right now we actually have record numbers of properties just sitting on the market. What you can do here with this calculator is you can run all the numbers. So you can first of all figure out what is my acquisition strategy, you know, how much of a down payment am I going to do, interest rate, amortization schedule, and so on. Why is the deal going to be good for me? What's going to be my cash flow? And what is going to be good for the seller here? Bear in mind, this is a seller finance deal. So it's you know, the seller's making more money over time in the form of interest. We also have a nice rent estimate here, which is taken from our rent comps down here. We have a full list of rent comps for you to sort through. And then we have all of your monthly costs down here as well. So basically everything you need to get a cash-on-cash return and a cash flow calculation. But where do we go from here? How do we actually present the deal to the seller and actually start to move things along? So I'm going to click this generate offer button. And what that is going to do is it's going to use the specific terms within the calculator here and actually generate a letter of intent, which we can now send to the seller. And what that letter of intent will do is a couple of things. First of all, it'll explain what is seller financing. And here's the letter of intent, by the way. It'll explain what is seller financing, how does it work, and why is this good for you? Then also it'll explain, you know, it'll have a nice Q&A section, classic questions that perhaps sellers may inquire with regards to the deal. So we're trying to address those and preempt those, of course. And then finally, there's a nice payment schedule. So the seller can understand exactly how much money they are making in principal pay down and in interest year over year. So just to sum this all up, and there's a lot I've sort of skipped over here, and do please feel free to book some time with us if you'd like a sort of more personalized, in-depth demo. But what we're doing is we're pulling on all the properties. We're then determining what are the best neighborhoods, what are the best cash flowing properties, what's the condition of the properties, how likely is it that you can buy these on creative financing terms. We also have a separate product for buying on traditional financing, but we'll leave that for the next time. Then you go in here and you can run the numbers in detail with our calculator. Acquisition, rent, monthly costs, looking at all of your comps, determining seller equity. Then you generate the offer letter, which is what I have right here on Microsoft Word. So I can edit anything I want, and then I can send the offer via email or SMS. And you can do this again and again and again, finding leads, running numbers, generating offers, and sending. So that's how that all works. But there's another fundamental question here, which is, okay, once we've done all that, what about the negotiation side of it? Because especially if you're doing like a creative finance deal, things can get, you know, a little bit complicated. There's a lot of numbers going around. How do I manage the negotiation like a pro, especially if this is my first time doing it? And that's where we come back to the whole sort of GPT motif. So Ariel has actually built can you see my screen on my phone? No. What about now? Okay, brilliant. So Ariel has actually built a custom chat GPT, which is trained off of a combination of our data. It's trained off of Pace Morby's videos. So we can try and understand, you know, what are the good ways to present a creative finance deal. And yeah, and so what you can use this for is to actually help you in presenting the deal and negotiating the deal with voice. So let me give you a practical example right now. If it will just load. Looks like we're having a few technical difficulties here. Hang on, let me try this again. It was working up until now. And it looks like it's not going to work. Maybe I can try it on a different phone. Um, but what this basically is a way to practice negotiations with a seller, and it will basically be a role play that you can do live with a seller.
Liam, I think if you close out the app and then open it up again, that may work.
Let's give it a go. Please work. Okay, looks like it is not going to work. Let me just quickly try on another phone, and if that doesn't work, we will have to leave it there, I'm afraid. This is very disappointing. Okay.
Yeah, if it doesn't work for you, Liam, it's able to work on my phone, so I could pull it up.
Okay, why don't you try, Ariel?
All right. So let's give this a shot. So I have the app open. I'm going to click play and start the conversation. Hey, so I'm trying to understand. Actually, let me restart it. All right. So I have the app here. Hopefully it comes out of my blur. And I'm going to go right into role playing. Hey, I'm looking to practice my role playing for creative finance. Could you help me with a scenario that we could walk through?
Sure. Let's set up a role-playing scenario where you're the buyer and I'm the seller who's unfamiliar with creative financing. I'll challenge you with common objections and questions that a seller might ask. Here's the scenario. I'm selling my property, which has been sitting on the market for a while. You reach out to me with a creative financing offer, specifically a seller finance proposal. I don't fully understand what that is, and I have concerns, especially since I was hoping for an all-cash offer. Whenever you're ready, kick off the conversation by introducing yourself as the buyer. Let's get started.
Hey, my name is Ariel. I saw that you have listed your property for sale by owner. What is your name?
Hi, Ariel. Nice to meet you. I'm Tom. Yeah, I've got my property listed, trying to sell it on my own and avoid some of those hefty realtor fees. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I can completely understand. Those realtor fees can get pretty high. But I see your property's been on the market now for about like 90 days or so. Have you been getting any offers?
Not really, to be honest. I had a couple of lowball offers, but nothing close to what I'm asking. I'm still hoping to get a decent price for it. I'm not in a huge rush, but it's been frustrating.
Yeah, especially in this type of market. And those lowball offers, I could assume, is probably frustrating as well. Well, listen, I actually took a look at your property that you listed on Zillow, and if we were to do a strategy like seller financing, which I could explain in a moment, I can likely offer you higher than what you're asking. How does that sound?
Higher than what I'm asking. That does sound interesting, but I'm not sure I fully get what you mean by seller financing. I was really hoping for an all cash deal. How exactly would this work?
Honestly, GPT, I don't really know what to say at this stage. I'm still a newbie. Can you help me out?
No problem. Here's how you can handle this part of the conversation. Focus on keeping things simple and addressing the seller's concerns, especially about getting cash now. Here's a guide for what you could say. Totally understand, Tom. Most people are more familiar with cash deals, but seller financing can actually benefit you in a couple of ways. First, instead of me going to a bank for a loan, you become the bank. I'd pay you monthly with interest, just like a traditional mortgage. And because you're financing the deal, I'm able to offer more than a typical cash buyer might. This means you get a higher total price. You'd also avoid paying taxes on a big lump sum all at once, which can happen with a cash deal. Instead, you spread out your payments.
Okay, I got the gist of it. Can we go into my knowledge a bit? I want to test myself on seller financing to make sure I understand the concept.
Great. Let's do a quick knowledge test on seller financing to make sure you're solid on the concept. I'll ask you one question at a time, and you can answer to the best.
Okay, not going to put you guys through me doing a full quiz with the GPT, but essentially what we've been able to do is train on lots of data to be able to develop a GPT that can help us with our conversations to get ready to be able to negotiate with sellers. And the thought process here is that our users especially are those that don't have time, right? Like you have a family, you have a full-time job, you don't have hours upon hours to just watch endless videos and podcasts on how to negotiate with sellers. So what we've done is actually train a GPT based on practically all the information you'd see online that's about conversations with sellers so that you can jump right into gaining that knowledge and being able to practice in real time. So with that, Liam, did you have any additional context there that you wanted to add?
Yeah, very sorry for the malfunction. Of course, as soon as I stopped sharing my screen of my phone, it instantly started working, which is very, very annoying. But yeah, what you can do is you can really tie the whole process together. So you can find the leads on Coffee Closers, run the numbers, generate offers, and then you could literally tell the GPT, okay, this is the specific property which I'm trying to make an offer on. This is a bit of information on the seller and their equity level. Could you please give me some of the likely objections that they could possibly have? And that way you can practice quite a bit before you actually call up the seller and really speak to them.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here again. And share with you all. So if you are at that stage, you're looking to make your money work for you, get closer to financial freedom and start your journey, you can do so by joining Creative Closers. So we do have two plans based upon your acquisition strategy, traditional or creative. Well, creative has traditional as well. In our yearly plan, the plans differ. But with the best value is our creative when going yearly is $119 a month. And we're very different from most softwares because we also offer coaching as well. So it's not just kind of a peace, good luck, go find deals. We actually work together as a community to analyze these deals beyond just the numbers, the location. We'll go over specific deals and understand, is this on the right side of the highway? How do you determine if this could be a good long-term investment? Where can you add value? We also have experts that come in as well that vary in experience from creative finance experts to more AI and data-driven experts as well. And you get first access to these tools. For example, this GPT was created months ago, but we have this shared in our community because we build this based on feedback. And it is bittersweet news, but our last cohort for our group coaching will be September 30th. So this is the last call. If you want to get training directly from us as founders, including myself, me reviewing your deals for you as well and walking you through the process, this really is likely the last time we'll be doing this. And the reason is because we are actually working on something super special as founders. I can't release too much now, but all I can say is that Coffee Closers 4.0 is coming. And this isn't being shipped off to a team overseas to work on. We are the actual developers who care about you achieving financial freedom with real estate. And we're building every single day, coding to make sure that we can build the right product for you. So if you want to screenshot this or you refer to it later, these are actually our favorite GPTs at this moment for different tasks that you may be doing, from content creation to creating or doing market analysis to looking at zoning laws. There really is no GPT at this time that's free that kind of does everything well. So right now there's the top favorites for each one. So with that, the journey can be tough, especially when you're balancing so much. You're working full time. I get it. I was there, but you don't have to go at it alone. So at this time, I'd love to be able to answer any questions and open it up.
Ariel, there was a question in the chat. As a real estate agent, how can I use these GPTs to not only get listings, but interested buyers? Any ideas there?
Sure. So as an agent, it's really changing the landscape, right? Especially after NAR settlements. You want to stand out in other ways to provide value for your clients, especially now that so many clients at this stage are sending the deals, like sending Zillow and stuff. Like, what is the agent doing to really stand out? And what you can do is leverage GPTs to help someone hone in on specific areas. So, for example, one of my favorites that I was working on earlier is leveraging things like Reddit, Facebook groups, and other public sources to gain more information. So if you trained a GPT to basically look at, say, Reddit, for example, of what neighborhoods people are talking about moving towards for different demographics, like if they're a young couple or if they're looking to be close for work. So not to cross the red line requirements, of course, but you can start to give people information using data, using what the public is talking about as well, to help them just be informed where they can invest, rather than saying, this is a nice, neighborhood with green grass and nice trees. You can now give data-driven insights as well as how an area can be appreciating over time.
I saw we also had a question about off-market deals, and I can just sort of quickly share my screen to explain about that. So when it comes to pulling records, we don't yet support that. You can use tools like PropStream if you just want to like pull a list, or even like Property Radar if you just want a list of like, pre-foreclosures which are off market or something like that, and then skip trace them. However, if you have a specific property in mind which is off market and you want to analyze that deal, that's where you can use our quick report. So within every subscription, shall we say, you also get unlimited access to this quick report. So that way you can use the tool I previously showed you to go through all the on-market properties all at once. As for off-market, if you have a specific address, you can just type it in here and then we'll pull all the comps, rent estimates, equity levels. You can use the calculator and you can generate offers straight from there as well. So that's what can be helpful with off-market.
Yeah, I do want to address a question earlier, which was like, what makes this different from PropStream? And the best part about this real estate space right now is that there's so many different areas and there's not going to be one that fits all, right? Like there's even social media, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Reddit, there's TikTok, there's a bunch of different areas. So PropStream does a really great job at fitting in the space where someone is usually a full-time investor, where they're spending money on marketing to leads on a regular basis, cultivating that, doing fix and flips, things like along that nature. Where we play is the space of the busy investor who maybe real estate isn't like their diehard passion, but they're looking to be able to get financial freedom through real estate. So we're trying to cut through certain noise that wouldn't be relevant for a part-time investor and help you get closer to actually closing that deal.
All right. As for CRM integrations, we don't yet support those natively. But what you can do is you can just download all of the data that you want to a CSV and then upload it straight into your CRM. So that's probably the quickest way to do that. As for HOA or condo association regulations, we don't specifically have insight on sort of regulations at that sort of level of granularity. We do have HOA fees for properties, but not regulations at this stage, I'm afraid.
Yeah, a little tidbit, if you are looking at HOAs and regulations, just be mindful that that could even change like right before you're buying the property as well. But one of the number one things you want to look at is if they currently have rental restrictions and if they plan to. So I have a past property that I purchased that was HOA and all fine, well and dandy. And then about 3 to 4 years in is when they made a restriction for only 10% of the properties could be rentals. But luckily mine fell in that category, so we were good.
But yeah, just as a very quick reminder, if any of you, would like a sort of personalized demo, we'd be more than happy to provide one. You can just book some time on our calendar whenever you're free. I would recommend doing so before the 30th of September, just so that you can get the coaching alongside, since that is ending soon. But yeah, more than happy to sort of answer any specific questions you guys have, show you the product in a bit more detail. And yeah.
Yeah, Liam, if you don't mind actually going towards where you can override some of the initial variables that we have, because we have some questions in terms of like insurance costs, taxes, and I think it'd be good to show that feature.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, oh shoot. Yes, so we have a financial preferences section where you can go through everything and set like global settings, everything from down payment, interest rate, loan type, and all of the monthly costs as well. So you can either use our default values, and we explain how we've gotten all of these default values, or you can use your own. So for example, for a property manager, usually our default values are around 9%. But if you want to change that to 12%, you can do that right here, click save, and then it'll always be 12% from there on out. So you have full flexibility on all of the financial preferences, both at the property level, but also at the sort of global setting level.
And we also have a question for going over deals. What is the availability? So we do have office hours, which is several times throughout the week, as well as group coaching. But when it comes to like deal analysis, that's just, you could just send either an email, a Loom, or chat us. And usually within 24 hours, if we can't meet in person, we'll just send like a Loom video going over the property and any things that you should watch out for as well.
Yeah, I think the really key thing to mention is that we really are here for you, not just with the development side of things, in the sense that, because we're the ones building stuff, if you ever have, a recommendation for something that we can improve or change, we can look at it immediately and hopefully fix it within a very reasonable period of time, depending on what it is. It can be as little as 15 minutes or a couple of days, depending on what it is. But also as far as like, actual help with deal analysis and so on, we have 3 coaching sessions per week at the moment with the creative plan, with the creative finance plan. And, happens very often that people ask us for a second opinion on a particular deal that they are contemplating, and we're always more than happy to help in any way that we can. Similarly, if you get tired of role playing with the chat GPT, often within the group coaching setting, we do also some role playing with us as a group. So one person may play the part of a seller, another person may play the part of the buyer. There'll be a conversation there, of course, and then everyone can sort of listen in and provide a perspective on how that went or anything that could be improved and so on and so forth. So I guess what we really want to stress is because we're still a relatively small startup, you know, we really are here for you in every sense of the word, from the 3 coaching sessions, which are ending at the end of this month in about 5 days, at least the cohort is. So, and then of course with hands-on sort of software improvement support.
Ariel, we have a couple additional questions in the Q&A. So first, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so for off-market property listings down the line, yes, we certainly will do it down the line. The reason why we haven't done it just yet is because there are other tools out there that can help you with that, like a property radar, like a prop stream. And typically, you know, those tools are meant for people who are pulling, you know, lots of records, who are cold calling lots and lots of people, who maybe have a little bit of a marketing operation going. The reason why we've stuck with on market is because if you're someone that has limited time, so in other words, real estate is not your full-time job, you know, perhaps you have a W-2 job, you have a day job, and you're just trying to find a really good deal, you know, after hours, on the weekends, whatever the case may be, going on market can be a great thing. And the reason for that is because you have one less job to do. When you go off market, first you have to convince the seller to sell the property, then you have to actually get them to sell on creative terms or whatever terms you're going to be offering. Whereas when you're going on market, property is already for sale. Now, yes, you know, there are other challenges with on market. Prices tend to be a little bit higher and so on and so forth. But the big advantage is that you're not going to have to basically spend your evenings and weekends cold calling, you know, random people who do not want to be bothered, whose house is not for sale, and going, you know, having to deal with all of that basically. If you want to do that, if that's something that you have the time to do, then definitely going off market is a great option. But if you know you don't have as much time and you just want to sort of try and find a great deal with the limited time that you do have available to you, going on market may honestly be the best thing. Or if you are going to go off market, you can rely on a wholesaler where they actually do the job of finding the deal and then passing it on to you. And then you can use our quick report to just type in the address and get the analysis. So in other words, it's everything you need for on market, plus the quick report to analyze individual off-market deals.
Yeah, and just to add a little context that could help for those that may be newer in investing. Yeah, you'll see a lot of ads, you know, get started in real estate, no money down, start with wholesaling. But from at least my experience of the last 5 years of talking to investors on a daily basis, the wholesalers who actually do really well and make money from this are the ones that are spending usually $3,000 a month or more when it comes to these lead generation systems, which if you ever wanted more context on that, you know, could definitely talk more about that in the group coaching, but I just wanted to put it out there. While we wait for any additional questions, I do want to share quickly. So as I mentioned previously, what we build primarily is based off of feedback, what our users are looking for to help them in their journey. One of the other free tools that you could use that we have, which I've seen other sites have this and they charge a fee. Don't ever pay a fee for market research. It's all free data anyway. Just consolidating it takes a little bit of time, but we've done it for you and you can come here for free. I went to Coffee Closers, free tools, intelligent market selection. If you are at that stage, you have your goals defined, you're ready to start finding a market, you can use our tool to do so that combines data from multiple resources. You can go to the glossary to understand where the data is coming from, what these terms mean. But I wanted to show this off because I did just update the data, and it's for as of last month, which is always going to be a 1-month lag for these sources. But here you can filter on cities best for cash flow, appreciation, and so on to help you refine going from cities or from your goal down to cities. And then for the coaching, of course, we help with getting even more granular than that, going towards neighborhoods as well.
There was just another question in the chat. So can we stack the situation the property is going to, for example, probate, foreclosure, unpaid taxes, etc.? Sorry, I struggled with that one.
Sure. So in terms of like selecting all these as filters, no. However, what we do, again, the main focus is someone who doesn't have that much time on their side. So our algorithms actually auto sort based on how motivated a seller is, how much return on investment you can have, and the opportunity for the property itself and where it sits. So essentially the end goal when you're stacking is to have, the best opportunity for a deal closing and it, potentially being, say, a lowball offer. But we already do all of that in the back end of the algorithm so that it's sorted that way. So you're not just clicking through page 1, 2, 3, and 4. Usually what's in the first 1 to 2 pages are the best deals available.
Yeah, and look, we definitely can help with seller motivation as a factor, but what I would say is that the number one thing which we try to do is to get you cash flow. Like that's always at the forefront of our minds, and ideally, in a reasonable neighborhood. But really, the number one thing by far is getting you that cash flow. So everything is sort of framed through that particular filter in our minds when we're building this and when we're doing the algorithms and so forth. We want to make sure that you get that return. But yeah.
Michael, where have you been? The whole presentation was AI. But yeah, really briefly, just as a recap, we covered how you can use AI throughout your real estate journey from step 1 of setting your investment strategy all the way towards the end of practicing conversations with sellers, and how you can best start to use GPTs in your workflow, whether that be understanding how to prompt engineer correctly, how to upload documents or your own expertise. And if you wanted to learn more on integrations and such, definitely check out Tyler's company and team, Voker AI, which the comments should also be in the chat. Then I see a question as well. How do we approach new construction? We take listings that are new construction, but we're not like setting up a whole plan of how to take a lot and put a building on it. That's a little bit out of scope for now. But we do implement new construction in our maps. So for our neighborhood maps that try to define areas as A to D, we look at 3 sources, which is economic data, market data, and amenities. And those amenities also include new construction. Yeah, so with that, really appreciate everyone's time. I know it's definitely busy, but would love to be a part of your real estate journey, of your learning, of you being able to acquire your next deal. So would love to be able to speak with you. Please feel free to book time, starting with Liam. And if you want to book time with me, could do so as well. And we're here in your corner. Looking forward to syncing soon.
Absolutely. We will make it our absolute life's mission to help you find a cash flowing property. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Tyler, as well, and the team at Voker. Yeah, let us know if we can help.
Thanks, everyone.